This is the Louis T. Network.
In the L.A.B room.
Exclusive.
Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to a special divisional breakdown edition of In the Lab Room. Today, I'll be breaking down these divisions, and I want to start with the AFC East. As I break down these divisions, talk about the division leaders, where each team stands in this division, their remaining games, and the outlook of the season for every single team in each division, starting with the AFC East. And so, as you look at this division, Patriots are atop this division with a record of 9-3. Their divisional record is 3-1. And their remaining games: home for Cleveland in week 14, at Miami in week 15, at Baltimore in week 16, finish up the season home for Buffalo. So relatively doable schedule. This isn't a schedule that I feel like is going to stop them from going 3-1 down the stretch, 4-0 down the stretch, depending on how good of football they're playing. They should be able to take care of Cleveland. At Miami, that's going to be tough. Okay, this Miami Dolphins team, a lot of times you don't know what you're getting from them from week to week. They've been playing a lot better football of late. And I think the Dolphins can definitely find a way to get that one if they're playing good football. I could see the Patriots taking that one as well. That's family business. You never know what's going to happen there. At Baltimore, that should be a tough one. Of all the games down the stretch, that's the one that you could easily see them losing, probably the most likely. And then home for Buffalo, they should be able to take care of the Bills to finish up the season. But again, Buffalo always plays this New England Patriots team tough, whether it's at home or away. But the Bills have not been a very good road team this season. So I could easily see New England cleaning up that slate to finish up the season. So they could easily go 4-0 down the stretch. They could easily go 2-2 down the stretch, 3-1. What I don't see them doing is finishing this season up 1-3 or 0-4. So 2-2 is definitely a finish that I could see the Patriots having. I could easily see them going 3-1. I could see them wiping this slate clean down the stretch and finishing this season up at 13-3. Now, the significance of this for the Patriots, they're going to win this division. There's no doubt about that. This division is essentially wrapped up. This isn't in the balance. They have this division wrapped up. What they need to do is try and win as many games as possible. If they could go 4-0 down the stretch and get to 13-3, they'll give themselves a chance to be the number one seed in the AFC. And we all know the importance of that. Because of that win over Denver a week ago on Sunday Night Football, they put themselves in a position that if they get to 13-3 and Denver somehow falters down the stretch and loses one of their remaining 4 games and ends up at 13-3 themselves, you've got a tie atop the AFC conference, one that the New England Patriots would win out because of that win that they have against the Denver Broncos. So they would win that tiebreaker. So it's important that the Patriots win out to give themselves a chance, because you don't want to have to ask the Denver Broncos to have to lose twice. They've only done that 2 times already this season in 12 ball games. The likelihood of them dropping 2 of their last 4, very unlikely. And so if you are the New England Patriots, you want to win out to give yourself the best chance to try to be the number 1 seed in the AFC conference. You look at the second place team in this division, the Miami Dolphins, at 6-6. They're 1-2 in the division. And their remaining schedule looks like this: at Pittsburgh in week 14. You follow that up with a home game versus the New England Patriots. Follow that up in week 16 at Buffalo, and you wrap up your season week 17 home for the Jets. Again, at Pittsburgh, that's going to be a tough game for you. The Steelers will have their backs against the wall. That will be essentially a playoff game for them. They either win that game or their season probably will effectively be over if you are the Steelers. And it all depends on what the other teams in that conference is doing. If the Baltimore Ravens find a way to get a win, then that would really make it hard on the Steelers to get into the postseason. All the teams that are 6-6, like this Dolphins football team, if they find a way to get a win, and again, they're playing the Miami Dolphins, a team that's in front of them at 6-6. So this is a huge game for both teams involved. So that's a really big game. I could easily see the Dolphins going on the road and taking care of business. I could easily see them going on the road and the Steelers eking it out. That's a flip a coin game right there. So that's going to be a tough matchup. Home for New England, just like I talked about with the Patriots, that's going to be a tough game for the New England Patriots to get on the road in Miami. But again, the Dolphins have been wildly inconsistent, and this divisional record speaks to that. At 1-2 on the season, they can be had at home, so that's a toss-up, but it's family business. You don't know what's going to occur there. At Buffalo, they've already lost to this Buffalo Bills team at home this season, so going to Buffalo, that's a dicey proposition. I've already spoke to this earlier in the season when I said I don't want to go to Buffalo if I'm a team down the stretch. You know, going to Canada is one thing to play the Bills. Going to Orchard Park to play this Buffalo Bills team down the stretch, dicey proposition, one that I don't want any part of. That's going to be a tough win for the Dolphins. And home for the Jets, they just beat the Jets down at home a week ago in Week 13. Don't see why they can't do that again at home in Week 17. Jets have problems at the quarterback position. So this Dolphins team, they're not going to win this division. They don't need to win this division. I have a big problem with a team winning a division when they're struggling within that division. At 1-2, there's no hope for anyone other than the Patriots to win this division. But at 1-2, you got to be better inside the division. If you want respect in your division, you got to take it. And at 1-2 right now, you still got 3 games to kind of rectify this divisional record down the stretch. 3 of your last 4 games are divisional games, and your last 3 in a row to finish up the season, weeks 15 through 17, are all divisional matchups for this football team in Miami. So they can actually make some headway in this division by winning down the stretch. But this poorest record in the division speaks for itself. And again, this team has been exactly what they are, average on the season. If they want to make the playoffs, they need to kick it into high gear by winning 3 of these final 4 games and at least getting to 9-7 to give you the best shot to get into the postseason if you are the Dolphins. And so they got to try to find a way to win 3 out of those last 4. At Pitt, home for New England, at Buffalo, home for the Jets. Find a way to get 3 out of 4 of those. If you can win all 4, get to 10-6, you'll really increase your chances and the likelihood of you making the postseason. But to get 3 out of 4, I think is the most logical expectation for this Dolphins team, is to finish up this season 9-7. Find a way to get 3 out of these last 4 games. You look at the next team in this division, the 3rd place team currently is New York Jets. 5-7, 2-3 in the division, and the remaining schedule reads as follows: Week 14, home for Oakland. Week 15 at Carolina. Week 16, home for Cleveland. Finish up the season at Miami. This is a Jets team that I feel like has overachieved already this season. I didn't think this was a 5-win club. I honestly thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I was wrong. This defense has been extraordinary at times. They're the best run defense in the league. They can get after the quarterback at times. That defensive line, the most dominant in the league in Copels, Wilkerson, and Richardson. And so that's been the strength of this team defensively, them being able to hold teams down from scoring a bunch of points. But this offense is anemic. And so at 5-7, their playoff hopes are still alive, but they're slim. And they don't need to go anywhere. They're not going to make the postseason, are the Jets. They're having an internal struggle right now at the quarterback position. They really don't know what direction they want to go in. I think they're going to stick with Geno Smith, but I don't know what that does for you right now. He's not a good quarterback. He's not reading the field. He's not making smart decisions. He's holding on to the ball too long. He doesn't have a lot of weapons to get the football to. It's a cycle right now on offense. You don't have targets, so he doesn't have people he can throw the football to that he's confident in getting it to. So he holds on to the ball, so he gets sacked, so he makes bad decisions. And then he's not reading the field, and when guys are open, he's not making good decisions or throws. And so it's just all bad offensively for this Jets team. They're 2-3 in the division, so they've had some mild success in this division. With one more win within the division, they'll finish out the season at 500 in this division. So, I mean, if you're the Jets, you'll take a 3-3 mark within this division with a win over the Patriots this season and a win over the Bills. If you can find a way to get the Dolphins on that last week of the season, you'll finish up at 3-3 and would have beat every single team within this division. So that would be an accomplishment if you're the Jets, I feel like. And so looking at this remaining schedule, you can beat the Raiders at home. Will you beat the Raiders at home? Probably not. Probably not. But that's a winnable game. At Carolina, there's no chance you get that football game. None whatsoever. Cleveland, again, another winnable game. They're having equally disappointing production from their quarterback position as well. So that Cleveland game, definitely a winnable game as well. And at Miami, that's family business. That's a winnable game. But if you put forth the same effort you did in Week 13 at home versus this Miami Dolphins team, that's going to be a loss as well. So looking at this schedule down the stretch, I could easily see the Jets going 2-2. I could easily see the Jets going 1-3. I could easily see the Jets going 0-4. What I don't see the Jets doing is cleaning this slate up and going 4-0. That's really simple. And they could go 3-1 as well. I mean, it could happen. I don't see it happening. The best I see them doing down the stretch is 2-2. Realistically, I see them going 1-3 down this stretch. Getting one of these games, that probably being that Cleveland Browns football game. And I don't want to count the Cleveland Browns out. I don't want to discount what they can do defensively, but I don't see them beating the Raiders. I just don't. I think Matt McGloin and what he's been able to do since being anointed the starter in Oakland has been extraordinary, and I think he's playing solid football, and I think they can do enough offensively to beat this Jets team, but we'll see. But Jets are in third place. They're not going to make the postseason. They don't need to make the postseason with the struggles they've had offensively. They're at 5-7, and I can easily see them finish up this season at 6-10, which is probably what this football team is when it's all said and done, a 6-win football team. But to me, that's still overachieving. I thought this was a 4-win club when the season started. 3-13, 4-12, somewhere in there, maybe a 2-win team. I thought this team, talent-wise, was one of the worst in the league, and they still found a way to get 5 wins. So I don't know what that says about Rex. I don't think he'll be back after this season, but they're 5-7. So we'll see what they do down the stretch. They're still in the playoff hunt. Again, slim chances of making the postseason, but look, they still have a pulse. Rounding out this division, Buffalo Bills at the bottom. They're in the cellar right now. They have a chance to get out of the cellar. Let's see which one of these teams between the Jets and the Bills will be the last one out of the cellar, and they're turning out the lights and shutting the door and leaving the other team down there by themselves. We'll see who's in the cellar when this is all said and done. But right now, the Bills have that distinction at 4-8. They're 2-2 in this division, meaning they still have another 2 divisional games to handle. And their remaining schedule reads as follows. Week 14 at Tampa Bay, Week 15 at Jacksonville, Week 16 home for their last home game of the season in Week 16 versus the Dolphins, finishing up the season in Week 17 at New England. So that's a relatively soft finish to the season. I mean, at Tampa Bay, at Jacksonville, 2 road games that are definitely winnable if you are the Bills. But again, you've struggled mightily on the road this season. I think you only have 1 road win to your name, that being your win against the Dolphins in Miami. I think all the rest of your games, Baltimore, Carolina, and there's one more game in there somewhere that you won at home. So I think that at 4-8, it's probably a realistic outlook for this team that you probably go 2-2 down the stretch. I think you get one of these road games, whether it's Jacksonville or Tampa Bay. I don't think you get both of those. I think you get one of those. And then Miami at New England, you might get one of those, or maybe you get both of those road games at Tampa, at Jacksonville, and don't get any of the remaining games within the division. I could see you giving New England a run for their money, but on the road, again, I don't trust this Bills team. If you're going to get a game remaining in this division, it's at home versus Miami. That's going to be a tough one for the Dolphins to come into Orchard Park and get a win. So I could easily see you taking the Miami game. But again, I could see you going 0-4 down the stretch because you're so inconsistent on the road. I could see you going 1-3 down the stretch with your only home game remaining against the Dolphins being your lone win. I could see you getting a win against one of these teams in Jacksonville or Tampa on the road and coupling that with a win against Miami and finishing up this season 2-2. I could easily see you winning 3 of your final 4, winning both of these road games against Tampa and Jacksonville, and then winning against Miami and finishing up the season winning 3 out of your last 4 and dropping that last one at New England. So what I don't see you doing is cleaning up this slate. Much like I said with the Jets, I don't see you going 4-0 down the stretch. It's hard for me to believe that a team that has struggled on the road this season, winning only 1 road game to this point out of 5, it's hard for me to see you go and win your last 3 road games, or 2 out of your last 3 road games, or even 1 out of your last 3 road games. It's just hard for me to fathom you going on the road and all of a sudden being road warriors. If you win some games, I could see you winning 1 of your remaining 3 road games and your last home game. That's it. That's as much as I can give you for what you've shown me this season. 6-10 is the best you can finish in my eyes. And 6-10 might be enough to get you out of the cellar. We'll see. Because depending on how these Jets finish up their season, 6-10 could be enough to get you to 3rd place. We'll see how that all works itself out. But right now you're respectable within the division at 2-2. But I see you finishing no better than 3-3 within this division. But you've played tough all year. You've been in ball games. You just have to learn how to win. Young quarterback, young team, first year head coach. All of those things impact the outcome of your season. And so this Bills team, again, not really playing teams with playoff hopes, with a lot of playoff implications here. The 2 divisional games will have a playoff connotation to them. Dolphins trying to get in as a wild card. Patriots trying to be the number 1 seed. So you'll have an impact that way, but we'll see how this season ends up. But that's this AFC East in a nutshell. Patriots are going to win this division. Dolphins are fighting for their playoff lives. They're right there in the thick of things in the wild card hunt. And I'll have a video on the playoff race in both conferences here shortly. But the Jets clinging to life at 5-7, don't think they're going to make any moves up the charts to try to get into the postseason. I think their season is all but finished, and the Bills are just playing for pride at this point as they look to finish up their season with their final 4 games. So that's going to do it for this installment of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me, this special edition AFC East Divisional Breakdown. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Thank you for joining me. See you next time as I'm back breaking down the AFC North Division. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.
In the Lab